nobody knows. She puts on secret clothes and lies in the meadow with her hands tied behind her back. I won't refuse if you know how to use it. Just stop playing that ugly drug music.
Hello everybody, welcome to the second episode of Effortless. I am your co-host, Piddle, and with me is our other co-host, Spigel.
Co-hosting. All right.
You betcha.
I like it.
So if you're just joining us, this show is pretty much a show where we come and we talk about anything we really feel like with regards to video games, and it's sort of like going back in time to when you were a little kid and all your friends just got the latest game,
or
whatever
your
it was.
imaginary friends.
Yes, or imaginary friends if you didn't have any of those. And you guys just sat down and you guys would just, or whatever, you're walking somewhere, you talk about your favorite games. You talk about, oh man, how awesome this new GoldenEye game was.
Hey man, did you try out that Neo Geo? That thing's legit, or whatever they said in the 90s.
Or even a little bit of talking about, or trash talking, I should say, even
yeah.
between a Genesis, Super Nintendo.
We're going to do a little bit of trash talk today, for sure.
Absolutely, for sure. But I think we're both going to be on the same side.
Well, both of us, yeah. But imagine we had a third guy with us who was like, no, man, the order's really good.
The order.
Okay. Good start, everybody.
Do you have the order?
I don't. No, I do not.
I don't either. Do you have a PlayStation 4 yet?
I don't have a PlayStation 4 yet. One of the things that I'm probably going to do at some point this year is buy a legitimate next-gen console. I've played a lot of the games just because I know people that have those consoles, so I can make statements on a decent number of the AAA titles that have come out. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. Piddle, you've got an Xbox One. You don't have a PS4, right?
I do not have a PS4. I have an Xbox One. Yep.
So should we just kind of are we both? Let's just connect with the audience real quick. We both think modern games are pretty, like, the kind of the direction they're going is pretty terrible.
That is affirmative.
Yeah, I mean, so why do you think that?
For me, it's a variety of things.
It's kind of a big question, so let's kind of take it, like, let's kind of dissect it a little bit. So, like, what is the biggest problem, I think, with modern games? What do you think that is?
For me, it's actually that they have almost gotten too big for their own good, and it's causing directors to have directors, development studios, to have a lack of focus as far as what's gonna, like, really suck gamers in and really make them believe that the world is really special and has a lot of, like, detail to it and everything like that. It
feels like every game that comes out now is like 100 hours long, and it's like you need to devote all this time to this one game, and it's just doesn't seem to be any, like, singular experience where you can sit down and play for 15 hours and it's like, well, that's it, and that was a good experience, and I could play it again even because it was so immersive and all this, but without managing to be this bloated monster.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how I feel. I'll pick an example. For me, the difference between Arkham Asylum and Arkham City with the last generation sort of exemplifies what's happening with games as a whole. And Arkham Asylum was a very, like...
People have told me that it's... I haven't played it yet. It's in my backlog. People have said to me that it's almost Metroid Prime-ian in some of it, in the way that it kind of displays the gameplay. Like, it feels a little bit like Metroid Prime, the way that the pacing and everything like that. That
is exactly it. I mean, a lot of times you'll backtrack and you'll go through the same areas with new abilities. So it's very much like a Metroid game. But it just made the world feel so much more...
connected?
Yeah, connected. And, like, how every area had its purposes and its things to do. And then, like, once you were done with that area, you didn't necessarily have to come back when you were completely done. But, I mean, of course, as you're going through the game, you'd go through an area and then you'd go through it again and you'd go through it again. And constantly with more and more abilities, constantly finding more things to do. And I think that's in contrast with Arkham City, And Arkham City's taking this more modern approach where it's trying to go open world, so it's even more believable, I guess. But
Right.
I mean, for me, Arkham Asylum was already a very, very believable environment. And Arkham City is just like, all right, it's open world, and it just felt like there's, no matter where you are, there's just a bunch of little things for you to do to sort of like check off a list. And I mean, Arkham City was just absolutely stuffed with like Riddler trophies to find, or Riddler statues. I forget.
Yeah,
what
like
they were.
we don't have enough lists to be taken care of in our own like lives, let alone in a freaking game that's 100 hours long.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's come down to. It's just rather than a game sort of like challenging you, and like challenging you to find or like go through an area and find everything in that area. It's more like you have this vast, giant world, and hey, you know what? We're going to give you a map of where everything is. At some point in the game, you can get a map of where everything is, and now you can just go and check each collectible off your list. And that's sort of the direction that a lot of games are going with. I mean,
I ran into this problem with Grand Theft Auto 4 when I tried to play it. Like, I wanted to do the story mode and I wanted to get sucked into it, but I always found myself getting sidetracked by things, and for some reason it didn't sit well with me. Like, a lot of people say that it's fun to be in this game and to get so immersed that like you're doing something, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of doing a different quest that has nothing to do with what you were originally supposed to be doing. But I kind of like a more focused experience. I like the idea that you can go wherever you want and do whatever you want, but I feel like there's almost too much to do. Like, the world is too full, and that in a way it becomes too intimidating to really like sit down. Like, I wish I had 5 hours at a time to pour into a game, but I just don't. And I feel like you kind of have to be able to devote yourself to games like that. And I think to bring it all around, to bring it back around, I think that's kind of what we're saying, is that like all these new modern games, they're all kind of headed in that big, bloated direction. And I don't think we generally like that direction.
Yeah, that's exactly the direction that they're going in. I mean, look at a lot of the biggest games right now. If it's not a shooter, you've got games like Assassin's Creed, which is huge right now, and that's pretty much going around collecting everything.
Even take Nintendo. Nintendo with Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, I read that report that to finish everything would take like upwards of 300 hours, and I'm like, I'm excited for this game, but I am terrified of it at the same time. Like, I'm worried that it's going to be 2018 and I'm still going to be playing it.
I think there's just this belief that among developers that they need to offer value.
Which is understandable.
Yeah.
Because games like The Order have been criticized, in my opinion, wrongly for being short. I mean, you can criticize The Order for any number of things, but I don't think being short should be one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I've read the same thing about The Order. It's that it's short, that there's not much to do. And for me, that's never been an issue. If a game only takes me 8 hours to beat, if it's a really, really good 8 hours, then that's fine. I'm completely fine with it. I remember early on the PlayStation 3, one of the games that just got absolutely blasted for its length was Heavenly Sword. And me personally, I loved that game at the time. It wasn't as intricate or as hard as some other games like Devil May Cry, but for me, it offered a very cinematic experience. It offered fantastic characters that were brought to life by Andy Serkis, the guy who does Golem in the Lord of the Rings movies. And yeah, it was just a fantastic experience. But
I felt go ahead, finish.
Yeah, but people were like, oh, it's only like a 6 hour long game. It's not worth your time. Don't get it.
I felt like that was almost the reaction with Pikmin 3 on Wii U. Have you played that, by the way?
Not yet. It's on my backlog list.
Get your gamepad fixed and play Pikmin 3 because it's really good. And one of the things that it was actually almost off-putting at first when I first got the game is how short it was. And it's not a particularly long game, but it more so, I think, than Pikmin 2, which was an excellent game, also a long one. It did a better job with pacing. Pikmin 2, I always felt it kind of dragged a little bit at the beginning and then it really got good at the end. But I thought Pikmin 3 did an excellent job at like at bringing the pace at of difficulty at a level that was acceptable. And I think that's actually a challenge that longer games face. Is how do you make the difficulty correct? How do you correct that factor? Because a longer game is going to be more drawn out, and there's going to be like longer gaps in difficulty where you're just like, well, this isn't that hard. I'm getting bored. At least I feel like that's what should be happening in a long game.
Well, that's one of the other issues with how long games are now. It's not.
I have no idea if what I said just made any sense. Does that make sense to you?
Well, yeah. This is
okay.
Exactly like I had a very similar discussion with somebody else about how games used to be more about like getting really good at an area, finding like every secret that it had, finding the secrets it had to offer, not just going through an area and being like, oh, okay, well, here, like my map's going to show me exactly where to go every single time I need to find something. There's just like a fundamental difference between like offering difficulty and getting the player to master a game and just having them sort of collect. And that's all it's about right now. It's just like playing into the human like desire to want to collect things. And personally,
I have a serious problem with that too. So that's the other reason I don't like the reason games are going in that direction, because it's like, oh, I got to get this game and I got to collect every single thing. Like I have to have all the amiibo, right? Like there's freaking 50 of them now, and I have to have them all. And it's like it's like that in games too, but with less frustration because I don't wake up at 3 a.m. looking for Jigglypuff on Target.com.
Oh dear, it's gotten that bad for you?
It's really bad. We haven't talked about this. It's horrible. If anyone out there in our fan base has amiibo problems, like we need to get like a therapy group going. Well, maybe we'll do a new show called Amiibo Therapy.
See, I was smart. I decided to not get into it in the first place
because that was a good idea.
I knew if I got into it, it would just be down the rabbit hole.
And I remember during E3, I have said this on the show. Not this show, but the original podcast. Like one of the first couple episodes, I said, I don't get Amiibo. I think it's dumb. Like I don't think it's going to sell. I think it's not going to be popular. And look at me now. It's quite a 180. So anyway.
Yeah. Going back to that difficulty thing. The difficulty in a lot of games. It's not really there anymore either, because now it's all about just completion more than anything. And one of my issues with this is at the beginning with these open world games, there wasn't that much that you had. There was a fair amount to do in order to complete it. But then you'd always have gamers going, oh yeah, but this is the only thing you did in order to finish everything in the game. The world just wasn't very full of life. And so now developers are like, okay, well, we have to throw this in and this in and this in and this in and this in. And it's just more and more just little completion stuff.
I really hope that Zelda for Wii U gets it totally right. And even though the world is full of stuff to do and things to look at, it manages to keep a focused experience while still providing side quests that are enjoyable. It can be done for sure.
It can be done. I think one of the shining examples.
It hasn't been done quite perfectly from anything that I've played.
One of the shining examples of this new direction that modern games are going in, I believe, it has been Skyrim. When you say shining examples, do you mean as a good thing or as this is what everyone's okay? Yeah, as a good thing, because Skyrim, it had mostly just places to find, and that's all it did. It gave you places to find. It didn't say okay, you have to collect every little chest in this area. It didn't even show you where all the chests were on your map. All it gave you, it did give you on your heads-up display, it gave you indicators of where a cave could be or a fort would be or something, so that it was a little bit easier to find. And I know a lot of players on PC removed that HUD through a mod so that they could find things themselves, and it was a little bit more believable.
So that it was your choice, and it was more rewarding than just checking something off a checklist.
Yeah, but once you got to a place, everything that you did in that area, that was you. If you found a chest, or if you got through a trap, or found a secret passage, that was due to you as a player searching your environment thoroughly. and not just a checklist to say like, oh, collect every.
You found all the pigeons or whatever.
Yeah, collect every sword in the game that does this, or every special weapon. And I mean, it all built up if you think about it. If you really, really explored the world, I believe you could finish the Labyrinthian. And me personally, I was never able to finish the Labyrinth in that game. But just the fact that it was there and it was like this giant mystery, and like the time I found it, like I wanted to finish it really bad. And maybe someday I'll go back and I will actually do that. But like I said, it's not everything in the game was just pointed out to you. The worst thing it did is it gave you like your objective, and it gave you the final point of that objective of where you had to go next. But everything you did along the way to the objective was up to you as a player.
Right. And I think that's a direction that Zelda should definitely take it. And people have said like Zelda is going to be Nintendo's Skyrim, and I'm like, that's fine with me. I can't wait to try it. I just hope it doesn't fall down that hole of thinking like, because I think it was Aonuma or someone said that like they were focused on adding things to the world, and I'm like, please don't go overboard and make it a crazy collect-a-thon where you have to shoot all the, like there's like in Twilight Princess where there were like 100 Poes that you had to kill, and I'm like, please don't do that. Like I don't want to go through and do all that. Like the Skulltulas were fine because like you found them along your way, and if you wanted to, like you probably had like 60 of them by the end of the game without going out of your way, and then you could go find the rest of them. But like don't make a bunch of obscure locations that you have to go where there's like nothing there and all this. I understand there's always going to be some collecting elements in games, and that's fine. Like I don't mind it, but I don't want them to go overboard, and I don't want them to make it super easy but super big. Does that make sense?
That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, I would say one of the big Xbox One exclusives that I got that, I mean, I was really looking forward to this game. And,
Me too.
And once
I know what you're talking about.
Once I got into the meat of it, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is just a grind.
No pun intended.
And that was Sunset Overdrive. And I've always been a huge Insomniac Games fan. One of my favorite games of the last generation was Ratchet and Clank Future: A Crack in Time, which if you...
What did I think? I thought you were going to say Resistance Fall of Man for some reason. I don't know why I thought that.
No, but Resistance 3, after the absolute mess that was Resistance 2, had a fantastic campaign, and it's a game that a lot of people missed out on.
This is completely unrelated, but I remember when PS3 first came out and I saw Resistance Fall of Man, I'm like, oh, I wish I had a PS3. Like that was the game that made me want one, but at the time it was $600. I'm like, nope, not doing that.
Yeah, I never got into the first one. I sort of got into the second one, and the second one...
I'm surprised you continued on after the second one.
I liked it for some things. It had a multiplayer component, like a co-op multiplayer that was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
And some parts of the game were good, and some parts of the game were bad. And I just decided, like, because of how much I love the Ratchet and Clank games, I decided to go forward and get the last Resistance game, especially after some of the reviews came out.
So anyway, about Insomniac Games, Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
See how easy it gets sidetracked? This is just like a conversation with your friends, except you can't talk at us.
Well, you can in the comments.
Leave comments.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll look at your comments. We'll discuss them.
We'll respond to them. Do you have a
Absolutely.
YouTube account, Piddle? Like an official one?
You bet I do.
You got to get on there and respond to some of these people. People are like, "Oh, Omni's not on the show. I'm not even going to listen."
Well, I'm waiting for
Jerks.
them to argue with me. I need some internet trolls. So internet trolls, come at me, please.
Yeah. Well, you can deal with that.
Bring it.
So Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, like A Crack in Time was actually a very intimate kind of game, and it had some collecting to do. Well, a lot of collecting because it's a platformer.
It's a platformer.
Yeah, but at the same time, it told like a good story and everything like that, and that's why I loved it. And it also had some puzzles in it that I really, really enjoyed to do, and were very clever. But with Sunset Overdrive, I sort of like, the more I got into the game, the more I realized, like, wait, I need to collect this and this and this and this. Like, I think in order to collect some new like upgrades for your character and your weapons and everything, you would have to collect like toilet paper that was hanging from posts, like lamp posts. You would have to collect shoes, like stinky shoes that were hanging from telephone or electricity lines. You would have to collect a couple other things. Let
me ask you real quick. Like, would you feel the same way about Sunset Overdrive? Like, knowing what you know now, would you feel the same way if more games were not the way they are, with being so big and so massive? Like, would you feel like Sunset Overdrive is more special, or do you feel like it's more of the same because all games are sort of like that now?
It's more of the same. Yeah, I mean, it's got all the cool weapons and stuff like Ratchet and Clank has.
It's not the actual gameplay itself. It's just that it becomes so samey at its gameplay core. Is that what you're saying?
The gameplay core, like the core of the gameplay, where it's like parkour and everything and jumping around.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean like with all the collecting and stuff.
The collecting, I think, just distracts from the core, and the collecting is actually too much. I mean, there's hundreds of each item to collect. I guess I can't quite remember because it's been a while since I played it now, but I would guess there's over like 1,000 different things to just just tedium to collect.
Sounds awful. Like, I love collecting things, and I'm just like, but I can't get into a world like that anymore. I just wish I had the time to, but if I'm gonna do a game like that, I'm gonna want to do it right and collect everything. But that means I only play one game for like 2 months,
and that's exactly it. It's just like developers feel like they have to offer value.
And it would be one thing, right? If I actually like had the time and I was able to do all that, and and still enjoy the experience. But and there's also people out there who are not crazy like us and be like, yeah, I can collect stuff, but then I'm okay if I don't get everything. Well, I'm not that way. I have to get everything, and that's why I don't like the direction that modern games are going.
Well, my issue is it's that this collecting stuff, it's starting to become a part of like upgrades that you get within the game. So it's like I feel like I have to collect this stuff in order to make in order to access more of the fun content in the game.
Right, like you didn't need to collect all the bananas, all the individual bananas in Donkey Kong 64, which is out on Wii U Virtual Console, by the way, right now.
Yeah, you didn't need to collect as many coins as possible in Mario 64.
800 of them. Yeah, like you could, and it would give you a special like secret ending with Yoshi and doing nothing, but like you didn't have to, and it was like an option, and like you didn't feel like the worst person in the world if you didn't get everything, because it's like nothing was taking away from the experience. You just didn't get that little secret special ending, which was really nothing.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point. It's usually collecting everything gave you a different kind of ending. It gave you like a little extra, like, hey, you're awesome. You actually did all this.
Yeah, like when you get all the Pokemon, like I'm a super nerd and I have all the Pokemon in my Pokedex, and like it just says like, wow, you're amazing. You got all the Pokemon. Like, congratulations. Now go get a life, you stupid loser. It doesn't say that, but it should. It really should.
It really should, especially nowadays with how many Pokemon? 700.
719, and then plus whatever new ones are coming out that I'm going to have to get.
Oh my goodness.
But hey, whatever. It's a thing.
So yeah, like that's pretty much the biggest problem that I feel occurs with modern games. It's not so much about skill, it's about collecting a lot of things. And
so we've gone really long just on this one segment. Do you want to like transition to other things that annoy you about modern games? Because we talked about one, I remember briefly a while back, that I wanted to talk about.
Absolutely.
Is that all right? So, modern games lack the satisfaction of putting in a game and playing a game. Don't you feel like whenever you open up your Xbox One, you got to go through all these menus and like, pick the game, and then you can distract yourself from the game experience. Like you can put your own music on or whatever, and like all this stuff. And I'm like, I just want to put my N64 cartridge in, and I just want to start the game, and I'm just, oh look, I'm playing NFL Blitz in like 5 seconds.
That's
and
how I feel.
You can't do that with Madden 15. Like you have to go through all the menus, and you have to, deal with all this garbage. And it's just like, I just want to put the game in, and I just want to be playing the game.
A lot
And
of times,
I feel like all game consoles are trying to become this thing, this multimedia monster that just dominates the living room. And I'm like, does it really need to be that? I know we like everything to be connected in today's society, but like, does that have to leak into gaming? Is that something people want in general? I don't know.
I've never really thought about that.
Is that something that you've always said like you want? Like, I want to be able to turn on my Xbox and I want to be able to play a game, and then all of a sudden I just want to jump out of the game and turn on the Rockets Clippers game.
I'm never like that. Never.
Yeah,
like when I turn on my
wonder,
console, it's either to like specifically watch a movie or it's specifically to play a game. I actually eventually set my PlayStation 3 up where as soon as I put a game in, it would boot right to the game because, I mean, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play that game. If I was putting a game in the system, that's what I wanted to play. And
Right.
in a way, I sort of wish that there was just maybe like even a button on the controllers where I could, like, if I pressed that button to turn on the console, it would either boot directly into the game or like directly to another application or like directly to the home menu. I think that would be amazing because then it
like a lot of people use their machines as Netflix machines, right? Like people buy PS4s and just use them as Netflix machines. Like I've seen this happen.
Yeah, sadly, that's what my Xbox One has become because I've been so disappointed with the other content it's had to provide for gaming.
And I hate that it has to be like that. Like, I mean, I obviously don't want anyone to waste their console. Like, if anyone bought a Wii Mini for $100, like they're probably just using it for Netflix. I just it makes me sad that like people will buy their consoles and just use it for that. And it's like, there's so much other stuff. There's hundreds of hours of gameplay and things to collect that you could do if you want.
Yeah, I could spend the next. Oh man, I got Assassin's Creed Unity. I could probably spend the next 200 gaming hours just collecting every last thing in that game if I wanted to.
You could see every glitch and every bug and everything that's wrong with it.
Are those features now? Because that would actually be pretty cool. Congratulations, you've seen every glitch this game has to provide.
That's quite a feat. That's a lot of glitches. That's good. No, I don't think they would do that. That's probably a bad idea.
Do a lot of games even do anything
hold on.
special if you collect everything?
I don't know, but I forget that. This is a perfect segue. Modern games have a lot of glitches. That's the thing I hate the most, and that they're releasing them unfinished.
Oh man,
this
we've
is
talked
my
about this before,
is my
haven't
biggest
we?
one. Like your
This
biggest one is that they're big, but my biggest. Oh man, I wish I didn't have to go soon because this is a huge topic for me. I cannot stand the fact that games are releasing and they're not done, and they have to release a patch on day one, or not even on day one, and it's Halo Master Chief Collection, the most anticipated game of the year, and it's completely broken, and it's like I hate that. I think it's unacceptable, and even Nintendo has done it, but not really. So good for them, I guess.
That collection has just I have that collection. I have these consoles.
You're talking about Master Chief Collection?
Yeah, and I'm used to these day one patches now. When I first installed Assassin's Creed Unity,
that's another thing. Friggin' installations. Just put the game in. I hate that.
It was they're trying to at least make it so the game doesn't have to fully install before you play it. But I mean, between like the Wii U and these, like all the Xbox One games I've played, every Xbox One game I've played has at least like 5 gigabytes to download before you play it at this point.
And maybe I'm totally out of touch with just where the industry is right now, and like maybe a bunch of people are criticizing me right now. They're typing up their comments. They're like, well, this is just what it is now, and you have to deal with it. I'm like, yeah, but there is a solution, and there is. They could just,
I think it's ridiculous, and I think it's sort of, in a way, I almost feel like it's their anti-piracy measure. At times, I've thought like, are they just doing this just to combat piracy, so that when you buy the Master Chief Collection and you try to play it on its own, it's just this completely broken mess, and just it's like almost unplayable in a lot of ways, just so that people, when they do eventually hack the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, they can't just rip games because, well, what about all the other patch data that is actually going to make the game playable?
Well, and the other thing is, like, it kind of makes the consoles... You know how, like, there was that big controversy at the very beginning of the generation, like, about how Xbox One was going to be online only and you had to have online in order to play it? It kind of, effectively, it makes them online-only consoles, because if you're going to buy Assassin's Creed Unity or Master Chief, it's like, good luck playing that game if you don't have a connection, because it's going to suck. You have to be able to have the internet connection to download the content. And it also sucks for people who don't have Xbox Live or PSN. Well, not PSN, but Xbox Live, because they can't download it either. And I get complaints from people, coming into. I mean, some people say it's a ridiculous complaint anyway about the online thing, because everyone has online anyway. But I get people that come into the store that I work at that say they can't play their Xbox One because they don't have an HD TV. I'm like, dude, that's your fault.
I'm really curious what's going to happen.
I'm not sure if it's the same thing with the online thing.
I'm really interested in what's going to happen a few years down the line. It's probably going to take like another 5-10 years. Well, maybe only 5 years until they finally shut down the PlayStation Network for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox Live for the Xbox 360. And what is going to happen to all those games that sort of need patches, need extra data in order to run at their best just on those consoles,
or games like Titanfall that you won't be able to play in 10 years.
Yeah, let alone the Xbox One. Well, that already happens with some PlayStation 3 games. Go back and try to play any of the SOCOM games, or a lot of other online games where they just shut down the servers at some point. The Resistance games, which we just talked about, the Resistance games had all their servers shut down, I think, a year ago. So if you want to go back and play any of the Resistance games online, you're out of luck. You can't do that anymore. And I think that's part of the reason that Xbox Live exists, is to have the peer-to-peer. But at some point, they're going to shut it down, just like they eventually shut down the Halo 2 servers for the original Xbox, I think, in around 2011. And now
people
the
were
only
really
thing
upset about that. I remember that.
Now the only thing people have to look forward to playing online is Halo 2 Anniversary and the Master Chief Collection,
which is broken. Which
is complete broken mess.
Is it still broken? Have you played it?
From what my understanding, last I checked, is it's working now. It's like working like it should have at launch.
Congratulations! It's a 6-month-old game. You finally got it to work. Congratulations.
And sadly, the reason I bought my Xbox One, I don't know if they've relayed this to you, but the reason I bought my Xbox One is I missed out on all the Halo games on the Xbox 360. Because
so you were like, oh boy, I finally get to play all these games, and then you're like, oh nope.
Yep, I specifically did not buy a 360 just because I didn't want to deal with any red rings of death. To me, I'm not going to spend over $300, $400 on a console just to have it break on me.
But ironically, you'll spend $60 on a game that doesn't even work.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like I bought my Xbox One specifically to play the Master Chief Collection, and it's just been like, is this really what I'm going to have to look forward to with this console? That's honestly what I think of whenever I think about my Xbox One as a gaming system. At this point, it's sad. My biggest hope for the Xbox One is that somehow Microsoft lands a deal with Steam or does something on their own with Windows 10 that allows me to stream my computer games to my Xbox One. That's my greatest hope for the Xbox One right now. And if you think about it, if that's my greatest hope, that's not a good sign.
No, because you're playing games that weren't supposed to be played on it. It's like if you bought a Wii U and you're like, man, I can't wait for all those virtual console games.
That's exactly it. Which, speaking of, where are all those virtual console games?
Yeah, where are they? What the heck are you doing, Nintendo? It's nice to get one a week, but come on. There's plenty of games out there that you haven't released probably that I can't think of. Why was Donkey Kong 64 their first priority? They should have tried to get Banjo-Kazooie, but they probably don't have the rights to it, huh?
You'd think they'd look and notice that, the Wii U is tracking behind the GameCube and realize that they need to do something, and maybe offering a complete collection of all their past games would be a good idea.
I have a feeling that whatever their next console is going to be this is all of Nintendo. This is everything Nintendo has. We know now that Wii U has the capability to stream or to play every type of game that Nintendo has ever made, because you can now get DS games on it. You can do Game Boy Advance. We know it can natively emulate GameCube, right?
Actually, because it has a Wii mode, and the Wii supports GameCube, if you hack your Wii mode, you can play GameCube games natively.
So we know it can play GameCube games effectively. So, I mean, even though you can't actually, but yeah. So, yeah, it already has the capability to play everything that Nintendo has to offer, with the exception of 3DS games. And, if you can play DS games on it, you can probably work the same with 3DS, but just without the 3D. And I wonder why they haven't tried to play that up more, as a company that often draws from its past and says, look how great our classics are. And I don't get why that would be something they would want to focus on.
I feel like their greatest benefit would be, and even though I would hate this, and I probably wouldn't
I know exactly what you're going to say, and I know I would hate it too, but I would probably get sucked in.
Is they should really just advertise it like, hey, get the Nintendo Wii U, it's got all these games, it's got this off TV play, but then like with your Wii U, get like Nintendo Premium, and if you get Nintendo Premium, you have access to every Nintendo game from the past, and all you have to do is pay us the
$50 a year, just like Microsoft does.
$50 a year, just like Microsoft and Sony, and you would get so many people that would be into that. I would get casual players. I think you would even get casual players, just because casual players would be like, oh man, like I would love to play such and such game again. And you would be able to sucker them into getting a year-long membership just to play a game, whether it's just for like a month that they would play it, or even just a few days. Like people,
and I own
people
all
do
this
that.
crap. I own Chibi Robo. So if they said you can play Chibi Robo, I'm like, oh yeah, Chibi Robo, and I'd sign up for it, even though I already own it. I could just play it whenever, just for the novelty of being able to play it on my Wii U. And I don't know why, but it's just, I don't know. It's probably because I'm a fanboy, but whatever. And yeah, like. I just don't. That seems to me like it would be one of the smarter decisions they could make regarding the use of all their IP together, without really having to do a whole lot of extra work. And I feel like whatever their next console is going to have something like that, just because I think they realize that, or I think they realize now that their brand alone isn't really enough to sell games. They have to sell their entire history.
Here I was hoping we could talk about Nintendo another day, and here we are talking about them today.
It doesn't matter. We're gonna wrap soon anyway, so let's finish up.
Okay. Oh, you know what we need to talk about? We need to talk about the games we played this week.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we need to touch on that. So yeah, before we go, let's talk about that, because we were doing the 52 games in 52 weeks challenge. If you haven't heard of that, go back and listen to our first episode. We talk about that for pretty much the whole episode, our backlogs. How many games did you get done this week, Piddle?
I actually did not have much time to play this week. I had a sick family member to take care of, but I still managed to play and beat one game.
That's good. You're on pace.
Yep, I managed to beat Cities Skylines.
Tell me about Cities Skylines. What console is it for? What is it about? All this.
So I talked about it briefly last week, and Cities Skylines is like a SimCity game, where you build your own city. It is, it's like SimCity, where you build roads, you do different districts in your city, you set like city policies. You have to build roads like pretty much in order to account for like future traffic flow, like how heavy is that traffic flow going to be? So you have like 2-lane road, 4-lane roads, 6-lane roads, and then you can build like your residential districts. You can have like a low density residential district, which would be like your suburban area, and then you'd have like your downtown areas with like office buildings and office or like big retail stores, and then like high-rise apartments, and then you can also build extra buildings that are like landmarks for your city.
So how do you beat this game?
So
how do you consider it beat?
In a way, it's never ending. Like you could play this game forever, and just keep building your city. And for me, I sort of just considered it beat once I expanded my city as much as possible so that there wouldn't be any more like milestones, because pretty much every single time you reach a certain milestone and how big your population is, you would unlock new features. Like you would unlock a new fire department or police department, or a new hospital, or instead of building a cemetery, you'd be able to build a crematorium. I don't even know how you pronounce that. And pretty much I built my city beyond, I think the last upgrade was at 66,000, and that was when I was able to build an airport. And I went a little bit further than that just so I would unlock some of the extra special buildings that you needed to perform certain things for.
Like the strip club,
Oh, no, they don't even have that. I can't believe
they don't have that.
They should have that.
If the special building isn't a strip club, then what is it?
Well, you know what? Since you mentioned a strip club,
I don't know if this is a road we want to go down.
One of the great things about this game is, with a lot of like the big PC games lately, is it has Steamworks support. So it's very accessible for modders.
Oh, gosh.
So there's even like a guy who's worked on SimCity in the past doing buildings. He has I forget what it's called. It's sort of like Kickstarter, where you can like donate to an artist, and once they get enough donations, they'll do something special and release it to people who are subscribers to them. Mm-hmm. And if any of you listening know what it's called, like, go ahead, comment so you can refresh my memory. I know that Tim Buckley with Control-Alt-Delete does it, and so like you can actually build custom like road like interchanges, which is the big thing. Like people call city skylines really nothing more than a road, like building road porn is what they call it, because you can have like crazy like beautiful interchanges that are just pretty much like designs. I've seen some of them and it's just like, is that just like a Celtic design or is that actually a roadway?
So if you're a wannabe architect, this is the game for you. Or not an architect, a city planner.
If you want to build a strip club and put it in city skylines, please do so. I want to add that to my town.
Make it the center of the town's economy. Like put everything around it, and just like
just a huge giant strip club emporium.
Call it strip club Landia. Okay, so
that city would get a lot of tourists. But
I'm gonna go with it's like Las Vegas, but only strip clubs. So I'm gonna go with my games. Real quick.
I'm just gonna finish up. I'll tell you what I thought. So like for the game, for me, I loved it. It's the first time that I've really tried a SimCity type of game, and I was
gonna say rate it out of 5 if you can.
Yeah, I got really hooked to it. It's still not like exactly the type of game that is for me. And so the fact that I enjoyed it as much as I did, I think says quite a bit. So I'd probably put it at like, I do sort of half out of 5. So I would probably put it at a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Just like a really, really great game. Not quite perfect. It has some issues with like traffic flow, and it just needs a little bit more in terms of like a tutorial of how the best way to do or design traffic to avoid problems is. Because like once I played a little bit beyond like making my city a megalopolis or whatever it was called, and I got close to like 100,000 people in my city, and then I like looked at my traffic and I was like, oh no, what is going on? Because I realized like my highway is like completely backed up once I got like past 80,000 people in the city, and I had no idea how to handle it, and my city was just like going into dumps because suddenly the police couldn't get to where crime was occurring, and the fire department couldn't put out buildings on fire, and
that sounds horrible.
And
so you increased your population by 20,000, your city just like exploded.
Yep.
And it's like, nope.
Yeah, it was doing fine at 60,000 still. It was having some traffic problems, but then like it just got a little bit too big, and it just like suddenly it was like LA rush hour.
The downfall
all
of
day
strip
long.
Clublandia.
That is
Yep. Okay.
You know, I guess I'm going to have to learn how to build mods because I really want that strip club.
Okay.
I also want an arcade for my city, so if you're able to do that, and a Times Square replica.
Okay, so I'm going to go with mine. I actually got done with 2 games this week. One of them was really short. That's why it was. I downloaded it on a whim the night before we started doing the challenge. It was Box Boy, and I decided to count it just because I couldn't finish it that night. It's a little puzzle game. It's a puzzle platformer. It's about this guy whose name is Box Boy, and he's a box, and he runs around and he does puzzles, and it's pretty fun. It's for 3DS. If you have a 3DS, I'd recommend it. It's $5 if you like puzzle games. It's nothing special, but it's fun. It wasted 5 hours of my life or so. I don't really feel like finishing it. I just got to the end of the game with the credits, and there's like extra worlds, but I'm probably not going to do them just because it didn't really grab me. But it was fun. It was entertaining. I'd probably give it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I don't really even have much to say about it. You've heard about this one, right?
I have not. So, like, describe to me, like, try to describe to me, like, how you do the puzzles.
Well, so as this box, you're able to create boxes out of your body, and every level will have a limit. And say you need to jump onto a ledge that's too high for you to reach, you'll build this stack of boxes, and then you'll jump, and you'll be able to pull yourself up when the boxes catch on the ledge. If that doesn't make sense,
It sounds
just watch
just like exactly like what I did when I played Half-Life 2.
I kind of looked at it like it's like Pushmo in 2D. If you've played Pushmo,
All right.
it's kind of like that.
Is it anything like Thomas is Alone?
I haven't played it, and I really don't know enough about the game to tell you. But if you watch a trailer, you'll get the idea really quick.
Perfect.
And then so
we
the other
should throw
game,
a link to the trailer for both of these games.
yeah, what the heck, why not? And I got my other one too. And this one is actually one that I definitely recommend people try out. It's called 999, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. This is a DS game that was released in late 2009 that got like no attention. It was an M-rated game by Chunsoft. The kind of this animated, this anime style visual novel type of thing with point and click elements. It's like one of those escape the room puzzlers. And it was super enjoyable. Like, I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. It's told a really captivating story. There's 6 different endings for you to get, and the best part is you can fast forward through all the dialogue the second time and third time and whatever you've seen it. So you get to avoid all the reading the second time around.
So one thing that I would like to ask, or are you saying so like it has different endings, different ways to solve puzzles?
There's 6 different endings. There's no, the puzzles are always the same. And the one bad thing about the game is that you have to do the puzzles over again. And they're fairly easy, so all you have to do is just like remember the solution or like just write it down. So that can get annoying, but it's got 6 different endings. There's one true ending, like the good ending, and then the rest of them are bad endings. It's kind of like a choose your own adventure novel in a way.
That's fantastic. I remember playing like Hotel Dusk, and I really enjoyed that game.
It's like Hotel Dusk, but darker and more mature, and it's like if H.P. Lovecraft directed the movie Saw. That's what it's like.
Oh dear.
I saw that comparison on the internet. I'm like, that is perfect.
I am gonna have to play this game if it's that.
I will mail it to you if you want after my wife is done playing it because she wants to play it too.
Yeah.
Which is another personal win.
I think I can get pretty easy access to it if I want.
It's not very common, and then it has a sequel called Virtue's Last Reward, which I just started playing because I got so hopelessly addicted to the other game. Like, I gotta play the sequel. So I finished the game yesterday. Then I went and immediately bought Virtue's Last Reward at the closest GameStop.
I know that Virtue's Last Reward is on Vita, and I am desperately looking for Vita games to play.
It is. So get it.
I might have to add that to the list.
I would play 999 first, just because it sets it up pretty well.
All right, perfect. My backlog
so
is getting bigger instead
I
of
would give
smaller.
999 a 4.5 out of 5 because of the things I mentioned. It's a super captivating game, though. If you can get over the fact that you'll have to do certain puzzles over again, you will probably love this game. But do not play it if you hate reading.
So I have one
avoid
question because
Yeah.
I love reading. I love reading in games. But
You would love this game,
One
then.
thing I cannot stand is games that do where I cannot speed read the text. And
Right.
I mean, there's so many games out there where it's like the text goes so slow, and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm not 8 anymore. Can I please have the option to just like quickly show the entire thing as text and then like move on to the next part?
I will say that is kind of a slow part, but in Virtue's Last Reward they fixed that. So if you can, it's not so slow that it's unbearable, but at some points it can get a little annoying, especially when it's like little clips of dialogue, like they're just doing the ... which
Yeah,
is not
just trying
which is not a phrase that you can say, by the way. So I don't understand why their mouths move when they say that, but whatever.
That's interesting.
So that's nine.
I'm
That's
gonna have
999.
to. I'm gonna have to move my mouth up and down whenever I have a pause in conversation now.
Maybe they're actually saying the words ...
I've
Like sometimes I'll say that in real life when I feel like things are getting awkward. I'll just say ... and then people will laugh, and then it'll be like awkwardness.
Isn't there a word for the ... Like, is it like
it's called an ellipses?
Yeah,
It's an
ellipses. That's what I thought.
I just say ... because it's more accessible. People know what I'm talking about. ...
We
We got to appeal to the general public, which is why we're going to have Omni on the next episode. So keep.
Ooh.
No, we're not. No, we're not. We will never have a guest on this show.
Never.
Maybe. We'll see.
Any other games that you managed to play and beat this week?
No, that's it. But I am playing Virtue's Last Reward. We'll have an update on that next week. I'll probably have it done by then. We'll see. And what are you playing? What are you playing right now? Have you decided?
Well, I beat that game. I'm just not quite sure what I'm going to play this week. I think I'm gonna try to play Pikmin 3 though.
You'll be able to get that done.
Yeah, I don't need a gamepad for that. I can just use the Wiimote, right?
You can use the Wii Remote Nunchuck or the Pro Controller.
Yeah, so I'll probably use the Wiimote and the Nunchuck because I really enjoyed Pikmin 2 on the Wii.
Yeah, Pikmin 3 is really solid. I think you'll enjoy it. And I actually have to finish all the missions and stuff. So that's technically still on my backlog, but I'll finish it someday. I don't think I'm going to try to do it this year.
Perfect. So next week, come join us. We'll talk about Virtue's Last Reward, and we'll talk about Pikmin 3. Anything else you wanted to add, Spiegel?
We'll have some other garbage topic to talk about. We managed to fill like 50 minutes today. I'm impressed. I didn't think we'd get this much out of it, but here we are.
I could talk all day about how much I hate my Xbox One and regret it. All day. You know what? We can come back next week and talk about it some more.
Next episode sponsored by Microsoft.
This is one of those reasons why I cannot believe that the PlayStation 4 is out tracking the Wii sales. The sales of the Wii, that PlayStation 4 is outdoing the sales of the Wii.
It's going to slow down. It has to.
I really hope it does, because if this is the direction gaming is going in, I don't really want much of a part of it.
We're not going to stick around much longer.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta go to work at Hot Dog Land.
Ooh. Eat some for me. Actually, and then while you're there, build a mod for Hot Dog Land for City Skylines.
Okay, I'll get a Hot Dog Land for, yeah. And then, okay, have fun in Strip Club Landia, everybody.
I will. Come join me. Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you like this show, please like and subscribe. I believe that's it. Anything else, Spiegel?
No, that's it.
All right.
You can do an outro. You can do it by yourself. You're good.
I don't know how do I do this?
You're good. You got it.
Oh.
Just say goodbye.
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 13 steps lead down. 13 steps lead down. As common as some kings, never once a prisoner.